Anish Giri called this a lame game against Magnus Carlsen, but this game is anything but lame. Anish probably felt some recency bias because he made that comment after he beat Magnus a second time out of 29 tries in classical chess. If you haven't seen his most recent win, then I'll put it in the description below. I'll put it at the end of the video. Check it out after this one. But here, we start with d4, knight of 6. And then it looks like we're going to get into a King's Indian, but then d5 is played. d5, the pawns come off the board, and okay, knight f3, knight b6, and the knights develop. Everyone's just developing their pieces, very normal. Both kings get to safety, both rooks centralized. But then Anish plays a5, and sometimes a5, yeah, you're giving up the b5 square, but you're getting a little bit of space in the white's territory. So what's the idea? Well, the idea is that Anish wants to play e5, supported by a bunch of different pieces, right? But Magnus doesn't want to allow e5. Instead, he says d5. I'm going to remove one of your pieces supporting that central pawn. Anish promptly goes to knight b4, and now Magnus plays e4 to help support his pawn on d5 because both knights and the queen were both eyeing that pawn. Now it's all connected. That reminds me of the show Manifest. I don't know if anyone's ever watched that, but it's all connected. Anyway, because it's all connected, Anish is like, no, let's disconnect all these pawns and let's create a weakness with c6. But Magnus realizes, wait, where is this knight going? Because you can't really jump forward. You can't take yet because the pawn's still supported by the other pawn. So why don't I just play a3? And the knight has to go back to this awkward square on a6. And, you know, knight on the rim is feeling dim. So it's not exactly ideal for black. And this is where the fireworks start to fly. Anish Giri does not want to play knight a6. Instead, he plays c takes d5. Brilliant move. What's the idea? He calculates this full line where a takes b4, a takes b4, rook takes rook. It's like, whoa, what in tarnation is going on? Well, after b takes c3, you're hitting the queen with tempo. So, of course, you're going to take back first. And then the knight takes the rook. And if you look at this, wait, black's up a pawn. Of course, they lose the pawn immediately. But this is all completely fine for black. Magnus proceeds with rook d1. And just this slight inaccuracy allows Anish to uncork e4, pushing the pawn. After knight g5, protected by the queen and the bishop, Anish finds the disgusting move e3. He plays e4, e3, and Magnus said that he completely missed this idea, but now this queen, sure, you can take back, but then you'll lose the queen. So instead, you can take back with this pawn, but if you take back with that pawn, your knight is hanging because your queen is disconnected, right? So what Magnus tries to do is play queen b2, basically saying, if you take my knight, then I take your knight, right? But this doesn't work because e2. Anish would have played e4, e3, e2, and, you know, preferably e1. But yeah, instead, if literally, like, this queen is hanging. Like, if you didn't notice that, like, e2 is a discovery on your own queen. But if you take it, you're just totally lost. It's going to be checkmate after bishop f1 and bishop h3. And it's like, ooh, what are you going to do? Queen b5 to protect, right? But then rook e1 doesn't look so good. The other line to calculate is if queen takes b6 and you play e2 and you try to stop the pawn. Anish would sacrifice the queen anyway, because if you take, then we promote, it's with check, you're presumably going to take and block. And the same idea is here, except now it's not checkmate, but after queen b5, you take anyway, forcing this whole trade-off. Black should have no problem picking off these pawns and promoting their own. So we go back one more time. Those lines do not work. If you take the knight, it is completely lost. So instead, Magnus is like, this e-pawn is a huge problem. I cannot live with it anymore. Let's play bishop takes e3. I'm hitting your queen with tempo, and your knight's still hanging. But there's an issue. Anish just plays a calm queen g4, and Magnus resigns. Why is he resign? Because no one's protecting this rook. So you still can't take this knight, and you are just never going to recover your material. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being super lame and 10 being unbelievable, let me know in the comments below what you think about this game. And while you're there, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, because somehow only 1% of people that watch my videos are subscribed. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and you'll get at least an extra 1% accuracy on your next chess game. Now go check out this video here where Anish beat Magnus again. Happy learning, everyone.